Welcome back to my channel. Yeah, today we're going to be talking about the election and what it means to me. Actually, I got no opinion at this point of who's going to win or who's going to lose because the polls go bouncing back and forth, and that's the way it should be, especially in a horse race like this. Kamala got in at a very late date. She had a lot of catching up to do. If that happened, Trump events kind of stalled. Um, Outliers that kind of affect the election right now. For the most part, the October surprises right now is hurricane season. So on a daily basis, news can change one way or the other of who's going to win or who's not going to win. And for the most part, if Trump wins, it would be because of what Benjamin Netanyahu's been doing in Israel. And Palestine. I'm not going to rehash that because I did a long spiel on that stuff, and it just kind of is like an ulcer. Talking about it because there's really nothing you really can do about it if you're a civilian in a country that's very far away from here and you cannot do anything about it. It takes time, money, and resources in order to actually an effective outcome that'll be beneficial to the cause. So I'm not going to rehash that. Another outlier is the fact that the Ukrainian and Russian oligarchs want the United States out of the Ukraine. Probably is, even if the United States decides to get out of Ukraine, they still have the backing of France, Germany, and the other countries. They're willing to back the Ukrainian people, which means the president of the Ukraine has the ability to outlast the Russians inside Ukraine. And they can dictate the policies one at a time as it comes time to retreat. Or if Putin, for whatever reasons, decides to pull out, or he dies and the people in the country decide to revolt, which usually happens. Look what happened to Tsar Nicholas II. Look what happened to him. The whole country collapsed by the end of World War I. So, as a result of what's going on, well, these two outliers right now, and this is how Kamala Harris and I forgot his name, Tim Lance, whatever his name is. I like the guy. Don't get me wrong. He made things so popular in Minnesota. Pretty much took the middle finger out to the Republicans and said, "Screw you. Are you for public education? Are you there for the kids? or aren't you? You pretty much kind of leaving it on the line in the state of Minnesota. So that could be a main factor. That could be the template that is needed for the rest of the nation. Saying, all right, what makes sense for the American people? Regardless of Kamala Harris is a centrist or not, it doesn't really matter. What really matters is what Trump says. And Trump says, this is a playbook I'm going to go by, even though he backed away from that prior to 2025. He will use that book to dismantle what's left of the Constitution. So, if you whittle away anything that what the Republican Party has been doing, and they do a pretty damn good job of whittling away stuff. I don't care what drama is happening. If they win, it's because the people want it. If they don't want to see democracy no more, they don't want to see democracy. They'd rather be ruled by an authoritarian. And that doesn't sit well with me. We can disagree and be civil. What we cannot do is mudsling and smear to a point where every other ad is an election ad on YouTube or on television or even on radio or Spotify or whatever. Even I'm getting sick of it. I'm so sick of those ads. And I said, well, who are these ads geared towards? And a lot of times, what worked in 2016 for Donald Trump may not work now in 2024. And one of the things that why Biden is not running, it is because of the fact he is not capable of fighting to persuade the American electorate that he's worth another 4 years. When you lose that steam, there's nobody that's going to vote for you. And I'm thinking that, and behind the scenes, Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton, Bill Clinton, Democratic establishment took a look at who could run and who could win. And I need a generic poll. Bernie Sanders, by a long shot, could win. But Democrats will not have Bernie Sanders run for him. But you got somebody that makes a lot of sense, like not Kamala Harris, but Tim Lance, which he pretty much complements, brings an aura of authenticity. That's how the Democrats are going to win. Somebody that's folksy, honest, down to earth, and is willing to be along with the American people. You have a woman like Kamala Harris, chances are she's going to lose. I'm giving a probability of a 45 split in favor of Donald Trump at this point. And the only reason why I'm going to do this is because his message is very effective. It's not very effective to the progressives, but it's very effective to their base. Now you look at what's happening down in the South right now. 2 major hurricanes have just devastating the South. And guess who defunded FEMA? With the Republican Party. And everybody is looking at the South, looking at what sort of aid they're going to get. Because I saw some of that devastation on television. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that they're upset, they're worried, they're sad, they're angry. Who do they need to be angry at? Climate change, the people who cause climate change, the Republicans, the politicians, and so forth. They're all need to share the brunt of the responsibility of what's happening in the South right now. And I think that's going to be the biggest outlier of them all. That Georgia and North Carolina might flip blue. Pennsylvania is kind of iffy. Michigan and Wisconsin, they're like +1, +2 for Harris right now. So, in other words, chances are those swing states that I just mentioned might just go blue all the way. Despite all the gerrymandering, all the fraud, what the voter fraud issues targets is what's going on in the margins and if things are swing state competition. There's things like a solid blue wall or solid red block. When they talk about that, that means these are voters that are dedicated to their parties and will not deviate from that. There's like if you have like a huge plethora of independent voters, especially like in the state of Texas. What happens in the state of Texas? Chances are they're going to vote red down ballot. But if you have the independents, a whole slew of independents, who've decided to go away from red just to undecided, there's a 50-50 chance that it can go either way. And chances are, if they go one way or the other, chances are more blue seats in the state, local, and federal slots will actually shift the balance, the power to the left. That's why it's kind of important that's why it's kind of very important to vote if you're of voting age. Chances are after November 5th of this year, 2024, Trump wins. Game over. This will be historically the worst part of American history. I've not seen future votes, future voting ever. Because it's all going to be decided by an authoritarian party. You can what if all you want. What if Trump dies? Doesn't really matter. Trump dies or not. J.D. Vance is just as capable as Tim Lenz or whatever his name is to actually run the country. Even though his loyalties kind of sway to the far right, uh, constituents. That they could actually tilt. And just because everybody kind of falls away after an election and after maybe like a year, but when it really matters, they'll come back in droves. And when they do come back in droves, it's going to be a really deciding factor. I do not put my trust in polling. I do not trust very much what happens. But my money is on Harris to win. But not wholeheartedly, I do believe Trump's going to win. And it's heartbreaking to say that. All the things that this gives a foothold of what the Republican Party can actually do in the future if Trump becomes president to put in all those policies. You will have a 6-3 majority Supreme Court. The priorities are to the far right. They just would like to go back to 1850 instead of 1950 way of thinking. To the time of the Gilded Ages. That kind of spanned from the 1830s on up to 1900 when the Reformation really started to happen under Theodore Roosevelt. You have Theodore Roosevelt, Woodrow Wilson. What else did she have back then? But the point is this. The Constitution is just going to be nothing more than a piece of paper of suggestions if Trump wins. The suggestions only for the 1%, top 1%. But it would be kind of rule of law for the rest of the common folk, including the MAGAs. Do you think they're going to be above the law? No. Once everything is all decided, there was this clerk in Colorado. She got sentenced to 9 years in prison for tampering with one of the Dominion machines, voting machines. It's stolen like an ID card. And she was kind of an elected official in the county. And the judge pretty much said, you wanted to do this. You wanted to prove your loyalty to Trump. So therefore, you've been found guilty of these crimes, tampering with equipment, I mean, if Trump loses, he's going to try to cut a deal in every way. We wait till Sunday. To keep him out of prison. The chances of that are going to be very slim to none, because I think what's going to end up happening, he's going to end up getting some jail time. Let's say they decided to throw him in prison right now because he's being convicted already in New York already. They could have just tossed him in prison right then and there. But what I'm thinking is this: let it play out, because I'm gonna have to be frankly honest with you. If you're a defendant like Trump, a lot of things would be in your favor. He's got a lot of money. And I'm not convinced that he's got a lot of money. He's got the illusion he's got a lot of money. But that's not the point. The point I'm trying to get to you is this: vote your conscience. There's nothing more. I will not object to anybody voting for someone who pretty much shits on the Constitution. If you vote for somebody and you don't give a good reason why you're not voting Democrat, that's on you. The point is simple. Trump should not have the power that he seeks.